Get out, never come back. You're nothing to this family. Asterisk, her voice didn't just fill the room, it tore through it. It shattered the quiet that had always been carefully maintained in that house. The carefully curated calm that masked decades of expectation, obligation, and silent abuse. The historic brownstone, the house I had secretly paid for, the 4-story monument to my parents' vanity, trembled as if it knew the weight of her words. Every crack in the plaster, every pane of glass, every inch of polished wood seemed to resonate with decades of unspoken resentment, of entitlement, of inherited arrogance. Asterisk, behind her, Ethan stood. 33, slouched with the nonchalance of a man who believed he owed nothing to anyone. That smug grin, the one that had haunted my dreams, carried the weight of a $50,000 gambling debt no one had ever demanded he repay. No one spoke of it because acknowledging the truth would force the household to confront its own failure. The invisible elephant lingered in the room like a storm cloud, thick, oppressive, and impossible to ignore, but they all pretended it wasn't there. Asterisk, I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I had learned decades ago that nothing I could do or say mattered in that house. Tears were weakness, words were irrelevant, and emotion was a liability. I looked first at Susan, the sister who had drifted through life cushioned by comfort I had provided. I looked at Ethan, the brother who had lived rent-free in the garden suite, incubating failed startups, gambling, spinning fantasy projects, always protected, always excused, always rewarded. And in that instant, every illusion I had been raised. Under every rule I had lived by, every lie I had told myself to survive it, all shattered. Asterisk, understood. I said, flat, clinical, precise. Asterisk, I grabbed my bag and moved toward the heavy oak door. My fingers grazing its cold surface, feeling the weight of decades pressing down on my shoulders. I stepped outside and the wind hit my face like a whip, sharp, relentless, unforgiving. The city air cut through my coat, through my hair, down to my bones, as if testing me, measuring my resolve. The lock clicked shut behind me, final, irreversible, unquestionable. Asterisk, I slid into my car, the engine a low, steady hum against the frozen silence of the Chicago night. My hands on the wheel, 10 and 2, perfectly still, perfectly controlled. I waited for grief, for panic, for the primal animal instinct to run back, to plead, to beg for forgiveness. But it didn't come, not a tear, not a tremble, not a quiver. Instead, the cold inside me matched the winter air outside. Sharp, precise, clarifying. Asterisk, for 29 years, I had existed inside a system that never valued me. A house where obedience was measured in dollars, service, and silent compliance. And now the fog lifted. I wasn't being punished. I wasn't a daughter being exiled. I wasn't some collateral damage in the game of their egos. I was a vendor whose contract had just been terminated. And in that clarity I saw the truth in brutal crystalline detail. I had been trapped in a transactional system of love, where my worth was measured solely by my utility. Asterisk, I reached for my phone. Face ID unlocked instantly, as if even technology recognized the inevitability of what had to happen. I didn't open messages. I didn't dial anyone. I went straight to the banking app, the dashboard that had secretly mapped the extent of my sacrifices for years. Asterisk, there it was. My labor, my life, distilled into a single, undeniable number. Family support, $3,850. Scheduled to leave my account the first of every month. Asterisk, $3,850. Not just a mortgage, not just a payment. A luxury. Subscription to a lifestyle I had sustained, funded, and sacrificed for a family that had just expelled me. I had treated it like gravity, inevitable, natural, unquestionable. My entire financial existence, my entire adult life had been built around it. And tonight that number became a symbol of liberation. Asterisk, her voice echoed in my head. Get out. Asterisk, in logistics, when a client refuses a shipment, you don't argue. You don't plead. You return it. You cut your losses. You liquidate. The logic is cold, ruthless, unfeeling. And tonight I applied that exact logic to my own life, to the system I had been trapped in for decades. Asterisk, I tapped the transfer line. Edit. Cancel series. Confirmed. Asterisk the line item vanished. My balance projection jumped nearly $4,000. That money was mine now, mine to control, mine to reclaim, mine to defend. No longer a tool of manipulation, no longer a weapon in their emotional warfare, no longer a measure of my worth in a system that didn't value me. It was mine. And I felt the first sparks of true freedom in decades. Asterisk I didn't text them. I didn't warn them. That would have been negotiation. That would have been emotion. I wasn't negotiating. I was executing a severance package decades in the making. Asterisk I placed the phone on the passenger seat, started the engine and drove away. The rear-view mirror reflected nothing but darkness. Transaction complete. Autonomy reclaimed. Ownership returned. Freedom real. Asterisk I checked into a downtown hotel, a sleek, impersonal high-rise with gray carpets that swallowed the light, sterile hallways, and blackout curtains that made the night absolute. I didn't unpack. I didn't need comfort. I needed clarity. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my laptop. Numbers first, data first, logic over emotion. My life had been a financial crime scene, and tonight I was walking through it with forensic precision, accounting for every sacrifice, every late night, every dollar, every sleepless night, every insult, every indignity, every ounce of silent compliance. Asterisk for years, I had been a senior logistics manager earning $145,000 a year, orchestrating global supply chains, solving high-stakes problems for medical equipment, ensuring lives depended on my decisions. Yet in my personal life, a 400-square-foot studio, with drafty windows, second-hand furniture, coupons clipped with military precision, a 6-year-old sedan, austerity imposed, all while funding a failing enterprise masquerading as a family. The Evans family brownstone. Asterisk Ethan, 33, living in the garden suite, incubating failed startups, gambling away seed money I had indirectly provided, protected, sheltered. Golden. Meanwhile, I was the bond, reliable, boring, necessary, burned endlessly to keep Ethan warm. I had normalized cruelty. I had accepted it. I had rationalized it. But tonight, the frog didn't jump. The frog didn't twitch. The frog shut down the entire heating element. Asterisk I stared at the spreadsheet. Silent investor column empty for the first time in 48 months. For the first time, the ledger reflected reality. I wasn't just saving money. I was reclaiming my life, my dignity, my autonomy. Every dollar I had poured in, every sacrifice, every late night, every moment of guilt, every act of compliance had led to this singular truth. I was no longer their financial doormat. I was free. Asterisk the wind outside rattled the windows of the hotel. The gray carpet was cold beneath my bare feet. My chest still ached with 30 years of obedience, but beneath it a new warmth rose, the warmth of clarity, of cold precision, of finally knowing I was in control. I wasn't just leaving a house. I was leaving a system, a machine of control, exploitation, and emotional manipulation. And I wasn't looking back. Asterisk for the first time, I realized the silence, the absence of acknowledgement, the years of being undervalued. They hadn't broken me. They had prepared me for this moment, for this clarity, for this cold, beautiful reclamation of my own life. The morning light didn't feel like morning. It felt like exposure. A harsh, cold, almost surgical illumination that revealed every line in my face, every tension in my shoulders, every flicker of impatience I had carried for decades. The hotel room was silent, save for the faint hum of the VT system and the distant, muffled sounds of a city already awake. Yet I felt no warmth, not yet. Not until the work was done. Asterisk I didn't shower. I didn't eat. I didn't even sip coffee. I opened my laptop. The device was heavy in my hands, not physically but morally loaded with the accumulated years of labor, of forced compliance, of silent sacrifice. My fingers hovered over the keys for a moment. A pause. A ritual before violence executed in spreadsheets and ledgers rather than screams. Asterisk for 4 years. I had been the invisible pillar of the Evans household, their silent investor, their unacknowledged benefactor. The golden thread that kept a crumbling illusion intact. I had poured myself into their chaos. Every month, every transfer, every sacrifice was meticulously calculated, documented, justified, rationalized. $3,850 a month, like clockwork, delivered into their system. And for what? A family who saw me as a utility, a resource, a renewable asset to be drained, ignored, then discarded. Asterisk I logged in. The dashboard flickered into existence like the start of a forensic investigation. Fluorescent digits glaring back, accusing, illuminating. $200 balance. A laughable number, meaningless except as a testament to how little remained for me after decades of feeding a dysfunctional system. Asterisk I began my audit. Asterisk every line item, every transaction, every withdrawal, every subtle transfer that had gone unnoticed, unchecked, assumed harmless, was now my subject of investigation. $500 here. $1,200 there. Miscellaneous notes in shaky handwriting. And then $12,000 wire transfer. Lakeshore Luxury Auto down payment. Fully loaded Obsidian black luxury pickup. $65,000 total. Asterisk I opened the check image. My father's handwriting, a familiar trembling script, always precise but shaky, like a man trying to mask uncertainty, scrawled the memo. Comp vehicle investment. My chest tightened, my lungs constricted, yet my hands didn't shake. Not once. My brain, however, was ablaze, parsing, calculating, cataloging every instance of mismanagement, every betrayal, every stolen dollar. Asterisk they had taken my labor, my sacrifice, my compliance, my years, and they had converted it into a status symbol for a man who had never earned a dime. For a son whose failures they had sanctified, protected, and rewarded. Every dollar I had sent, every sacrifice, had been diverted into ego, fantasy, indulgence. I felt the cold clarity of betrayal settle over me like ice. Asterisk I documented. I highlighted. I traced the flow of funds like a forensic accountant chasing a criminal mastermind. Every unauthorized withdrawal. Every embezzlement. Every instance of privilege at my expense. Evidence piled upon evidence. Cold. Clinical. Perfect. Then came the notice. 30 days later, the first official foreclosure letter arrived at my old email account. The bank, unaware of the drama, courteous enough to send a copy. I had calculated. This moment to the day. 15-day grace. Polite notice. Stern notice. Day 45, the delinquency would be official. Phone calls begin. Every step predictable. Perfect. Precise. Perfectly orchestrated. Asterisk 3 days after that, security called. 2 individuals in the lobby asking for me, my parents. Susan and Thomas. I finished reviewing a contract. I sipped a lukewarm coffee. Then, when ready, I descended. Asterisk the lobby swallowed them whole. Marble floors, glass walls, ceilings that felt infinite. They were tiny, microscopic, exposed. Susan's face streaked with tears. Thomas's hands trembled, veins standing out like mapped rivers on pale skin. Imperious authority gone. Screaming entitlement dissolved. Only desperation remained. Asterisk Vanessa. Thank God. We need your help, Susan wailed. The legacy. The brownstone. We can't let it go. For your brother. Asterisk even on the edge of collapse. They wanted me to be the parachute. They hadn't learned anything. They were still attempting to exploit compliance, to manipulate guilt, to extract obedience. Their apology, if it existed, was buried under desperation. Asterisk I didn't speak yet. I opened the manila folder I had brought. The ledger, the evidence, the receipts. Highlighted in fluorescent yellow, impossible to ignore, $65,000. Luxury pickup, fully financed. Purchased with my contributions. Their priorities revealed in black and white. Asterisk. You aren't losing the house because of me, I said, calm, echoing faintly. And you aren't losing it because of bad luck. You took the money I sent to keep a roof over your heads, and you bought Ethan a truck for a business that doesn't exist. You prioritized his ego over the legacy. You mismanaged funds. You embezzled my contributions. Asterisk Thomas turned gray. Susan stopped crying. They stared at the evidence, stripped of excuses, stripped of narrative, stripped of the veneer of authority. Asterisk I stepped back. I didn't flinch. I didn't offer solace. I didn't argue. I didn't negotiate. I executed. I was final. I was absolute. Their system had failed. Their manipulation had failed. I had dismantled it. Asterisk you told me to get out. I did. Now you have to get out too. Asterisk swipe, badge, glass gates parted. I walked through. Never looked back. Asterisk 90 days. Later, the foreclosure auction happened. I didn't attend. I didn't need to. The house sold for just enough to cover bank and taxes. No equity. My parents moved into a 2-bedroom rental. Low ceilings. Thin walls. Laminate counters. Discomfort. Humility. The consequences of mismanagement fully internalized. Asterisk Ethan's truck. Repossessed. No funds, no payments. His fantasy evaporated into reality. The self-proclaimed CEO returned to a reality job, part-time. Warehouse work, commuting by bus, confronted with limits he had never imagined. Asterisk I didn't reach out. I didn't gloat. I blocked numbers, emails, social media. Not punishment, protection, reconstruction. My ecosystem rebuilt from the ashes. Asterisk family is not sacred. Family is a system. Some systems are toxic, parasitic, designed to consume you. Walking away is not abandonment. Walking away is survival. Walking away is reclamation. Asterisk peace is expensive. It cost me a brownstone, the illusion of love, the comfort of familiarity. But now, drinking coffee I bought myself, in a space I chose. Looking at a skyline that belongs to me, I look at the ledger of my life. Silence, dignity, control, freedom, every second. Every penny. Every breath spent fighting for compliance, for survival. For their comfort it was worth it. Asterisk if you have ever had to pay the cost of your own peace, know this. You are not alone. You are surviving a system designed to devour you. And in surviving it, you reclaim yourself. You are free.